everyone, welcome back. Today I am going to do a video that I actually meant to upload like halfway through January, but you know what, we're late on this channel and that's just how it is. Today you and I are going to chat about the books that I wanted to read in 2020 and didn't realize I wanted to read them until the end of 2020, and so I'm kind of playing catch up this year. I have 9 books that I want to talk about today. Some of them I have in person and some of them I don't because I haven't been able to track them down yet, not through lack of trying, but I will just jump right into it. I will also say that these aren't books that were released last year, they're just books that came onto my radar last year and towards the end of last year that I did not get around to reading and didn't have access to because I was aggressively tackling my TBR shelf. That one. So the first book that I want to talk about today is The Poppy War by R.S. Kuang. This is a fantasy slash history novel following a girl named Rin who is accepted into a prestigious military academy. From what I can tell, I've actually not heard a lot about this story. I just know that the series is very good and a lot of people read it and loved it last year, so I'm going to be picking this up sometime in this year and hopefully completing the series. The next book that I want to talk about is Jade City by Fonda Lee. I know that the second book, Jade War, came out last year, but this is a story in which there are people who can consume jade and it increases their strength and speed and abilities. From what I can gather, this book kind of follows how initially the jade was kind of controlled by 2 families and then something happens and it's made available to everyone and the chaos ensues from there. Once again, this is just going to be it for everything, but I heard lots of people raving about it last year and realistically all of my desire to read these books has come out of people's top books of 2020. So this is another one. The next book that I am excited to jump into this year, it is Get a Life Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This story follows a self-professed geek who is chronically ill and she writes herself a list to get a life and she encounters this guy named Red who helps her along this journey. This sounds like a really fun contemporary novel which I have just been lacking. I think towards the end of last year I didn't really have any contemporaries and they're just really nice palette cleansers, so this is one that I will get to very soon. The next book is actually the first of the round of best books of 2020 that I actually purchased, and it is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by B.E. Schwab. Have purposely avoided figuring out what this book is about, but from what I understand from the videos that I've watched is that it is about a girl named Addie LaRue and no one can see her. She goes along with life when no one can actually see or interact with her until she goes to a bookshop in which someone remembers her. So I am so excited to jump into this. It was so many people's #1 at the end of last year, which gives me really high hopes for this story, and everyone has said it made them cry and I'm just not ready for that. The next book is Gideon the Ninth by Tasman Murray. Sorry. I just want to say before I say anything about this book that this cover feels so nice. It's like velvet smooth. It is beautiful. And the only thing I'm actually going to tell you about this book is I'm going to read this little quote here because I just think it is hilarious. Lesbian necromancers explore a haunted gothic place in space. If that does not entice you to read this book, I don't know what will, because that is the hook line that tagged me and that is the only reason that it has actually made it onto this list. So Gideon the Ninth. And I know that there's a second one to this as well. And there will also be another one because it is a trilogy, but this is the first in the series. The next book that I have to talk about did not come out last year. Like, I cannot stress that enough. And it is a book that I have been meaning to read for years. Like, it's literally every time I see it, I go, oh yeah, I should read that book. And I never purchased it, I never bought it. So it is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This is a part of the Grishaverse series. And honestly, I don't know how to read the Grishaverse books. I have Shadow and Bone, but I don't know if I should read that first or this first. But either way, I will be doing this world sometime this year because I know that it's also being a Netflix show sometime this year for Shadow and Bone and I don't want any spoilers. So I would like to read this. So this is the first book in the duology. It follows a group of people who go on a heist and that's kind of all I know about this book. Once again, very popular, very well loved in the community, and I feel like I'm missing out by not having read it because I feel like I'm the only person that hasn't read it in the world. The last of the books that I actually have, because again, I don't have all of them. I went on a huge book buying spree at the end of last year and I purchased like a whole bunch of books, but you know, I've already been through that. The next one is Ninth House, again by Leigh Bardugo. She just has popped up a few times in this list. This was also a lot of people's #1 at the end of last year. I've heard that this is much more adult than all of other Leigh Bardugo's books, not so much young adult. By the sounds of it, it is a fantasy cross murder mystery type story. It follows a girl named Galaxy, or Alex, as she tries to navigate this murder because she's the one that is investigating it. But yes, again, very well loved, very reputable author. I will get there. The last two I actually don't have in physical form because I haven't been able to find them in Australia, which is really frustrating. Second last book is Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas. This story follows a transgender boy who is trying to prove that he kind of belongs in the role that he has to his very traditional family, who are a bit resistant to that. And this book sounds like it's dealing with a lot of really relevant topics and struggles that a lot of people in the LGBTIQ/trans community are experiencing in day-to-day life, trying to prove themselves worthy and to prove themselves to their family, which I think is very difficult. And I personally also don't understand too much about it, so I'm hoping that reading this book can actually give me a bit more exposure and a bit more of an idea about what that is like for people who are trans. But I'm really excited to read this book. The first one is House on the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. It is a story following a social worker who has to go to this island to get all of these magical children and care for them, and he starts to develop friendships and relationships with them, and I think the story goes from there. Again, don't know a whole lot about it, but I'm just sort of going in blindly because it sounds so up my alley. It sounds amazing. It sounds really whimsical. People have compared it to House Moving Castle. Like, there's a whole lot of hype around this book that is making me very excited, and I just can't find it. Like, none of our bookstores have it at all. Anyway guys, that is all of the books that I wanted to talk about with you today. Again, like, most of these will be read sometime throughout the year, so you'll hear all of my thoughts about it if I read them. But if there's any books that you think that I should read that I missed last year, please let me know. I'm sure there are more of them, and I actually have an entire note on my phone of more books that I wanted to buy but could not, and books that I didn't get to read last year. So if there's any more, please let me know. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!